What's up guys, welcome back. Xyber here, your tech and games crusader, and we have another unboxing. This is for a crowdfunded product that just arrived while I was in the hospital. I'm finally getting to the backlog of things that have arrived, so feeling okay enough today to go ahead and try and get through some things. So we're going to do an unboxing of this, first look, and then do a comparison to the AYN Odin Pro, just to be able to see exactly what sort of benefits this offers over having native controls built into a device. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look here at what we received. Retail on this, I believe, is $90, and the crowdfunding was $63. So it had a little bit of a discount. Has a bag with a sleeve over it, cardboard sleeve with our information. We got our measurements here. We got 110 millimeters up to 179 millimeters for Android device. And the (2-in-1) solution, controller gaming while cooling. So taking a look on the back, we have wired connection for 0 input delay, efficient cooling with 4,000 millimeters square cooling area, 1 click to capture, so it has a capture button on it like the Switch does for screenshots, tactile with Kale switches and Alps 3D joysticks. So it's using the Japanese Alps analog sticks. They are not no drift solutions, they are just, you know, a decent quality analog stick. Controller supported, Android game and cloud gaming compatible, so it works with Xbox xCloud as well as Android games that support controllers. They do have a little bit of a limited amount of mapping for your physical controls to games that do not use built-in controls or offer controller support. So over here, unlimited customization with various D-pads, thumbsticks, and ABXY layouts. Well, let's go ahead and quit trying to read through the bag and get it out of the packaging. Got our trusty, never rusty Radio Shack micro driver. Red Magic phone just keeps on wanting to fall off of the top of the case for the Odin Pro, so. And I am going to wipe this down as I remove it from the plastic, because it has been from overseas. And I am immune compromised, so there you go. That. Let's go ahead and get her sleeve out here. And as you can see, easier to read now. I'm surprised it's taken someone this long to make a controller with built-in cooling, more than just the ones that attach to the front of the screen for taps and things like that, for like PUBG and Call of Duty, that type of thing. So adjust my harness here, sorry about that. By the way, if you didn't know, this is how I'm using my harness. Still having shoulder issues, so I'm using the chest mounted harness currently. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look here what we got in the package. So here we have Gaming is Winning. Probably stickers, manual, and that sort of thing. Usually is whenever it comes to products from GameSir. Yep. So we have our extra D-Pad, which is very similar to like the Elite controller D-Pad, where it's the disc. We have a different height of analog sticks, and then we have different tops for the analog sticks. Turn on the overhead light on my monitor just to get a little bit more vision out of this. So here's the ones similar to like what we had on the PS4. Is closer to similar to how it is on the Xbox Series. It's just that. Then we have sticker, like everything that GameSir sends out has. Gaming is Winning. We have a product guide. Here's a quick start, it looks like, or a brochure of what it does. Play all amazing games with GameSir X3 Type-C on TapTap. If you're not aware what TapTap is, TapTap is a way to play import games on your Android device or Android emulator via pairing your phone number or email address, so you can get access to more than just the Google Play Store for your region. The only thing is, some games require VPN bypass to load into the games for authentication, so you may have to use a VPN. Just be aware of that. Go to TapTap for more information. TapTap.io. Download TapTap app. Allow permissions and finish installing. Tap into your hub of superb games. Scan the code to download TapTap app. Upon downloading, you will be prompted with some security permissions due to Android system requirements. It is 100% safe and you can go ahead. You can just go ahead. Basically anything where it says, I need over screen permission to run over other things. Alright, so product guide. No, this is a thank you for your purchase. Extend warranty period of 6 months. Take advantage of our special offers, access to abundant giveaways, and much more. GameSir, dear customer, thank you for giving us the opportunity to grow, develop, and realize our ideas whenever you play with wired or wireless devices on mobile, PC, or consoles, or FPS, MOBA, or RTS games. We wish to be your best companion. We look forward to building and strengthening our relationship. Hope that we can contribute to materializing your ideas in the future. And then there's a link for their socials. Alright, manual. GameSir X3 Type-C cooled mobile gaming controller. English. Chinese and Japanese, it looks like. Be sure whenever I get there just to see. Package contents, let's go ahead and check off what we've already seen. GameSir X3 Type-C 1. Check. 1.5 meter power only Type-C cable for cooler 1. Check. It's right here. It's got a nice rubberized, almost silicone feel to the cable. I like that. It'll definitely keep it from kinking. So silicone is very resilient. It also keeps it silent. I mean, normally you would hear like bristling and things like that if you run your hand up and down the cable. This is definitely a more silent solution. I like that. And if you notice, it is a dual-sided branding with no seam on the USB Type-C port. So that means it is a truly double-sided USB Type-C port where that you aren't going to have any issues with charging like you do on some cheaper ones that have seams on them. So that's good to know. It is USB 2.0. Alright. Faceted D-Pad. Let's go over this. Faceted D-Pad. Check. Convex thumbstick cap. Check. Check. There's 2 of those. Thank you. And after sale service card. Check. Exclude the pre-installed thumbsticks and the D-pad, of course. Carry case. Check. High-rise thumbsticks ×2. That just doesn't want to stay in there now. Okay. Looks like they're held on by magnets. So be aware of that. Doesn't mean it's necessarily a strong magnet, just could mean that, you know, it'll hold. So don't start shaking it. I will do a shake test to see how well they do hold. Concave thumbstick cap. Check. User manual. Check. Certification. Check. For people that didn't know what this is. Quality certification. Requirements for Android phone 9.0 or above with a Type-C port. With a length of 110 to 179 millimeters, OTG or on-the-go on option. Required power out or input for the cooler is 5 volts at 2 amps. So if you have an older USB car radio, it's probably not going to pull it because those are 1 amp. Android phones such as Huawei, Xiaomi, Samsung, and Google have been enabled OTG by default. For other phones, please refer to the requirements of respective phones. Service layout or device layout. Okay. do have a Velcro strap holding this in, so that's kind of cool. It's got some weight to it. I'll let you know now, guys. Give me a moment and I'll grab my scale and we'll weigh it. Okay guys, let's go ahead and weigh this puppy and see what we got here. 291 grams. And if we go over to ounces, 10.25 ounces. 10.3 ounces. So 292 grams is what it's saying right now. That's a decently heavy piece of tech. So yeah, let's go ahead and turn this off. And let's go on with our reading here. So looking at here, we have thumbsticks, left, D-pad. D-pad is micro switched, so kill micro switches. Capture button, G button, got LED 1, LED 2, right here, S button right here, ABXY. They are micro switched. Feels like these are heavier switches. I would say these are about 65 grams on the D-pad, maybe 45 or 50 gram switches on the buttons for the face buttons. Right thumbstick, home button. Here's our Type-C port. It does have an angle on it for both directions, so it's not likely to break off from a severe angle trying to insert. So here is our to the phone for charging. Here's our to the cooler for cooling and power. And then we got left bumper. Both of these are micro switched, digital, no analog on the triggers, so be aware of that. Very switch like. This button is countersunk, so that's one thing I'm not pleased with, is see how underneath the plastic here, this is jammed. So see, this one is working. That's how it's supposed to look. See how that one is jammed in the bottom side. So let's see if we can get this to separate so we can get this out. Or do I have to unscrew it? Give me a bit, guys. Okay, guys, we are back. So these screws in the back, I had to take them out, take off these analog sticks, and now that works. So you can see whenever I removed the screws, it was still jammed, but I ended up having to take my trusty, never rusty Radio Shack micro driver with the flat P00 tip, or PH0, whichever tip this is. I'm sorry, my brain is not all here yet, but I ended up, if yours is jammed, took it around the front edge right here, lifted and slid it down right here, pushed up, and it unjammed it. And you can see whenever you take out the screws which ones don't have screws in them, because you'll see a shimmer of brass looking inside the holes. But, you know, all it has holding it on is these 4 screws on the back. And then after you take off the back plate, you can see the other screws for disassembly of the semiconductive cooling plate and everything. But I don't advise messing with that at all. You don't know what you're doing, you can severely harm yourself, so word to the wise. These do take a decent bit of effort to get off. I will let you be aware of that. You can see it is keyed on the inside to have a left and right mount or an up and down mount. So 2 different ways you can go to mount it. You can do it this way or this way. We do have L and R3 as well. I mean, as far as controllers go, I would say it's around the same size as the X2. Just this D-pad is a lot better than the X2. Go ahead and check out the other D-pad. This one does float a bit, so you have a magnet under here, a metal plate, and there's your magnet. be aware. There are little clips that it goes into to lock it in, so it's not just a magnet holding this. You can see whenever you remove it, see these little posts? It mounts in on each of those posts. So you got the magnet that initially will get it lined up, but until you apply pressure to get all the posts lined in, then it's actually in. Alright. The mechanism has a smooth slide on it. There's your model number, serial number, all of that stuff. So you know where to look for it if you have to contact GameSir for any sort of warranty replacement or anything. As usual, I'm not going to take off this protective cover. We're just going to check out and see how well the cooling on this does, for how long it takes to reach condensation on here. So, yeah, cable here. Line it up like that so it's not crushing the airflow. And let's go ahead and plug it in. You have LEDs on the cooler. So if that one's not going to work, we will use one I know that works. There we go. So this is a 3 amp connection on USB, so you'll be able to see and hear how loud it is. You have vents on the sides, on the tops, the bottom. It is RGB fan, but it is probably not controllable. It's just a RGB cycling fan. Let's go ahead and use this one over here on the phone itself. Got Red Magic phone here, older one. Does not have a flat back, mostly flat, but it also may be longer. No, it fits. So here's something I want to compare as well on the scale. With the phone, this puts this heavier than a Oculus Quest 2 or Meta / Oculus Quest 2. That's pretty crazy. 522 grams. That is already chilled. And you can see a little bit of condensation starting to form. So that is a large area for semiconductive cooling. I do give it that. Currently, I mean, my most used is the Black Shark mag cooler, but I do also use the dual fan coolers as well. So here we have my AYN Odin Pro. $387 grams. I mean, this has the same hardware in it as the Razer Phone 2. So the only difference is it has venting and it has active cooling. Now, I wonder how heavy it is compared to my cooling mod. Still lighter than the GameSir X3 with the black magic, or with the red magic phone mounted in. 464 grams. Even if we had this clear case here, $440 grams, $517. So $517, as I have everything on this, compared to $522 just with this in the phone. I mean, the reason I use this phone is because it does have active cooling the same way as the AYN Odin Pro does. So you have active intake and exhaust. You have a gaming switch on here, right here, to where you flip that and your performance increases. So it's the closest thing I can compare as maxed out performance. But there's just something about having analog triggers These are not micro switch, these are conductive rubber. These are Alps, but, well, they're by stock Alps. These are Hall sensor magnetic switch analogs that I modded in. And this D-pad is the best D-pad you can ever get, which is the Vita D-pad. Notice how you can't press in on the center, it just angles. I mean, if you're comparing one to the other, this takes 2 USBs, one for the cooler, one for charging the device. This takes, as it's built, one USB-C for what's included, your active cooling, but then whenever I add this to it to get the extra boost of cooling to keep the battery from getting too hot, it boosts the GPU by about 8% overall, to where the CPU cores don't have to run all the time, and it give me a little bit better scores in some benchmark synthetics and stuff. So once they stop using a 30 frames cap on Final Fantasy VII First Soldier, may be able to get close to 47 on the GPU maxed out on the Odin Pro, which I don't think this would have any issues getting to 60, just because this may be a 2-year gaming phone, but it's still newer than the 2018 Razer Phone 2, which is a Snapdragon 845, the same as the Odin Pro. So yeah, I mean, this costed $300 with the Super Dock that I use on my Switch. And then this phone costed $450 plus $65, we'll say. So this is definitely more powerful, for sure. We've let this run for a bit. You can see there is definitely condensation on there. This is well built, I'll give it that, but it doesn't have analog triggers. Definitely does not have Hall effect sensor triggers, because they're not even linear. They're just digital. This is probably a good just mobile controller, but I don't do a whole lot of emulation gaming. I do mostly Android gaming because I test a lot of Android apps. That's why I got this, is to make Android app testing a lot easier. It's not a matter of should you buy it, it's a matter of what's your use case. What are your compromises that you're okay with? Because the newer Odin Lite that's going to be shipping soon is $200. Has a Dimensity 900 chip in it. Can run Windows 11, Windows 10, Android, and Linux now. With 4 gigs of RAM, which is LPDDR4X 4266. And it's a somewhat, on Android games, a little bit faster in things than the Odin Pro, because it's a newer chipset, newer version of Android on it. So it has Android 11, and it will probably get Android 12 as an upgrade over the air. So it gets some more optimizations that aren't offered on the Android 10 that is in this. But compared to this is just using straight out your phone, and then you're limited by, well, what games can support controllers, and then also how much of a pain is it to use their app for mapping controls where you may not have enough buttons in games. The other benefit, you don't have buttons on the back of here. You have these 2 buttons you can map as other things. You don't have, of course, volume control on this because you have an open area to where you can get to it. if this had analog triggers or Hall sensor analog sticks and triggers, I would easier be able to say, yes, this is a better choice. But like I said, for me, this convenience is near unmatched. Not to mention the battery life on this exceeds even the phone I'm using to record this video right now. This is a 6600 milliamp per hour battery in it. This is a 4500 milliamp per hour battery. Also a more power hungry chip in this. But the screen on this is probably the best screen for low light use I've seen. Against, using your phone, this screen can go up to 120 Hertz, but you're limited to a maximum of 1080 by 2400. So, there's that. This is just 1920 by 1080p. It's 60. But it is an IPS panel, and it is one of the best ones I've ever seen. No light bleed in the corners. I keep the brightness down low. So you're probably looking at around 12% brightness on that right there. I got this for a reason. One, because it's white, literally. Two, because it's a Snapdragon 845, and I got tired of using this for my testing device. I mean, it has great speakers, and it does 120 Hertz on the screen at 1440p, but as you can see, it's long in the tooth. Very well used. The other downside on this is there's no camera. So, for live streaming, you have to connect to the SuperDock, plug in a camera to use OTG for it to be able to do any capture. You do have a microphone on here though, right there, and it is a pretty good microphone. So this is kind of like a follow-up on my thoughts with the Odin Pro, as well as comparison with the GameSir X3. Let's go ahead, power this on. And you can see right there, we got condensation again. Also, this is a OLED screen as well. But when you have a screen that gets as dark as this, without feeling like it's burning your hand, just having the screen on compared to an OLED on a mobile phone, it does make a difference. It takes a bit to boot up. Be right back, guys, after it boots up. Okay guys, we're back. So while I was waiting on this to boot up, I picked it up and I turned it like this, and the phone just kind of slid out. You can see there is nothing really holding it in there because of the angle on the telescopicness and putting all the pressure on the center. Plus, you really can see this is barely going in because of these bumpers here. So you can't have a case on your phone at all to be able to have this go in all the way. So it is just the GameSir app on the Google Play Store. So we can see here what's new. Added G-Touch support for GameSir X3, Type-C, added firmware upgrade and buttons testing functions for GameSir X3, added firmware upgrade and buttons testing functions for GameSir T3s. So let's go ahead and update this app. I like the 18 by 9 screen real estate, but I don't like, I mean, this isn't even 18 by 9, I guess. This is 18 by 8.5. Let's go ahead and open this. We got allow access to, or allow GameSir to access GameSir X3 Type-C. Okay. Reminder, to provide better services, the app will read some basic information: MAC address, gamepad type, phone model, system version, etc. without any personal information. Agree. Allow GameSir to access this device's location while using the app. Yeah, no. Okay. Alright. Mode switching tutorial. When the light is blue, it is ready to play Eggs, which is a Nintendo Switch emulator on mobile. When the light is green, ready to play GameSir World. Don't ask again. I know. Alright, down here we have basically, this is their app store. So we got a Gamepad Test, firmware upgrade. Let's go ahead and do that. Firmware is up to date. No update is available, so that's pretty cool. They already put the latest firmware on this out of the box before it was sent to me. Gamepad Test. Alright, we got those. G button, screenshot button, just taking a bunch of pictures. S button, home button. Seeing how much give there is in the analog. As you can see, the triggers are just digital. There's no analog function for those. Let's go ahead and launch this. Watch it say there's an update. Of course there's an update. I'll be right back, guys. Okay guys, we're back. Let's try this again. So this is what I was talking about. If you just bend this a bit, it just pops out. So you have to be careful of that. There's a lot of flex in this whenever it's telescopic. You can see the brightness. I had that on. I don't run my devices very bright. Been a while since I've used this device. Characters have come out. Alright, so we got analog sticks here. What we want to do, go to layout, and this is nowhere near as many options as what I'm used to with the FlyDigi Game Center. It's my preferred mapping and controller support on mobile if I have to use a phone with a controller. There's no user configuration yet. Be the first one to share. Me. There's not a whole lot of options on this. Alright, add button. Got that. Then you can combine buttons into two sticks. So you can see at the top up there, switch mode, advanced, my config. Save. So now it's re-signing in to the game with these options. So I'm gonna sit down. Sorry. That way I can be able to go here. Let's get into training so we can see exactly where things are supposed to be mapped at and where comparison we are. Boy, I was way off on that one. Does our movement work at least? No. It does on the sticks. Buttons don't work. So only the stick works. And for some reason, RB rolls forward and RT rolls back. Same way as stick axis does. So this is tied to the same axis as this. Wonder if that means this is tied to these axes. Alright. Give me a bit, guys. Be right. Okay, guys. So, I went to the settings for the button. And then I went down to gesture mode. Record a gesture. There. Alright, test it. Alright, that's good. Go back. So, checking to confirm, gesture is recorded. Go here. Same thing, gesture. Alright, go back. Okay. Now, my config, save to accessory. I don't like how it always, every single time, reloads the app. Don't have it to worry about anything like that with the FlyDigi Game Center. Yep, still not working on there. Still works on the analog though. Buttons, still not working. This is why I don't like any other mapping app except for FlyDigi Game Center. It's just straightforward and it works. This does not. No config set yet. Right. So, if you have native controller support in your games, like, we'll take a look here and see which ones it says has native controller support. So, recommended games, recently updated. GameSir controller configs already. Honkai and Call of Duty are the only ones out that I would play. Native gamepad support. Wonder if there's any more than just these that are shown. Nope, that's it. I know there's more games than this that have controller support. That's what I thought. So for me, this will probably go in the giveaways, guys, because it's a waste of money outside of having a cooler built in. That's the only thing I really get out of this. Because everything else on it is subpar compared to what I use. If FlyDigi wants to make a integrated controller with semiconductive cooling fan, then I'm all in. I mean, they did just bring out their version of this. It's black, has controllable RGB LEDs, $50. It's called the FlyDigi B5X. You can control the speed on it with their app, the controllers, or the colors in it, as well as you can monitor the temperature. So that's pretty cool. I haven't gotten it in yet because I've been enjoying this, and I'm still holding out hope they'll do a white one for FlyDigi, just so it matches the Gundam stuff that I got from them. But guys, that's going to about do it. We'll do one more comparison here. You know, size comparisons, visible size comparisons. So Switch OLED 7-inch, 6.8-inch, 6-inch. What's the weight on the Benbach equipped Split Pad Pro? If I can get it to actually stay on the scale. We'll do it like that. 324 with this equipped. $266. $337. So this is definitely the heaviest. Even over a Switch OLED with Split Pad Pro controllers. That's pretty crazy. It's definitely the thickest too. And it's definitely the most janky. I wouldn't spend money on this personally, because I don't play the native controller support games on mobile, and for what I do play native controller support, xCloud, having integrated controls with a solid design that's built to last, rather than something that is changing something into something it's not. That's where my shortcomings fall with this. You know, if you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. I'll try and do my best to answer. Well, let's zero this out again just to make sure. Okay, zeroed out 511 grams. $4.40. $4.98. Still, it doesn't matter. Middle heaviest, lightest, heaviest. But you have any questions or comments, like I said, feel free to leave them below in the description. I'll get to them as I do check comments daily. And if you want to be eligible for future giveaways for things like this, or you know, even like I've already given away the AYN 2021 Pro with the dock and a goalie kit King Kong 2 Pro controller, then make sure you are subscribed to the channel, and also follow me on Twitter at Xyber. Once we reach 2,500 followers on Twitter, I will commence with doing giveaways, and I'll have a video up shortly that will be giving the details of how those giveaways and how many giveaways and what they're based on will be for details. And also guys, thanks for watching. This is Xyber, your Tech and Games Crusader. Hope you guys have a good night, good day. Take care. Again, thank you for your viewership. Thank you for helping grow the community. We'll see you later.